Hello, welcome to Industry AF. My name is James Frolio, joined by Tyler Boone, and today our wonderful guest is Miss Machina, aka Ash Smith. Miss Machina is an LA-based singer-songwriter originally from Dallas, Texas. Ash coined the pseudonym Miss Machina while at the Chicago College of Performing Arts studying musical theater and vocal performance, later graduating SMU in Dallas with a degree in journalism and a minor in voice and songwriting. She's now moved to LA to pursue her career as an independent musician and is currently producing her debut pop EP. Inspired by 70s disco flair, 80s synth pop, and 90s grunge rock, Machina blends genre and her lyrics paint a vivid yet relatable picture of living in LA as a millennial. The first single off her record, Rumors, will be available March 31st on all streaming platforms, followed by a self-directed music video. You can grab a sneak peek of her style with her first leaked holiday song on Bandcamp titled Forever Young. And while co-writing and collaborating with other indie artists, Machina is also known as a Twitch affiliate and internet content creator. You can find her on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Machina _. Ash, Miss Machina, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hey, welcome.
Thanks.
Thanks for wanting to be here.
Thanks for the lovely intro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
James used to run a radio station in Charleston, and he gives off, I mean, the last guest, they were just like, thanks, man. You know,
It's really so nice.
It's like NPR or something.
I mean, you're doing big things, and we just want to, you know.
Thanks.
There you go.
It's like when someone asks you, like, describe yourself. It's like, like, I don't know what to say.
I have an Instagram, you know.
I have an Instagram. I'm doing things. Thank you.
How long you been in LA?
Not even a year.
It's still not a year yet?
No.
Oh, wow.
I moved here end of April of 2022.
So she caught us at the Troubadour.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, but that was June, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was like, you're just like fresh off the boat.
Baby. Yeah.
That's cool.
That was my first show in LA, too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was
awesome.
like...
What a legendary venue to have your first show at.
I actually, I have never told you this. I went home and cried.
Why?
Like, in a good way.
You were that bad?
No.
I
went home sobbing.
I was wasted.
No,
so.
I like went home and cried because I was like, oh, this is like what I like came here for.
Oh, that's cool. Oh,
Like,
so we inspired somebody.
Yeah,
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're doing that shit. Oh, am I allowed to?
Dude, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but that's cool. So that was your first show.
Think
Yeah.
of the
Have you played a show yet in LA?
No.
No?
I'm dying to.
She
Anyone
caused the
out
Hotel
there?
Cafe as well. Yeah, last December.
Oh,
so.
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love
awesome.
that venue.
Yeah, it's a cool one. The main room's beautiful. Side room's cool too. We have another guest coming on today. She plays there a lot. The side room's cool because it's a 90 cap room.
Yeah.
And Mondays, you've been to the writers' night. They
Yeah.
they stack it in there. So you should try and get in on that.
That's what I'm looking to do. I wanted to get everything with the record kind of in a good spot. Because I just wanted to have like my feet on the ground of like, these are the songs I'm like
Totally.
releasing, I'm really passionate about, and I wanted those to be in my set.
Great.
But yeah.
Well, I wanted to bring you on because, we're entering some all amazing people, but people have like their career already down the path, and you're like really starting out your career.
Yeah.
But you're really going like, head first in because you're just, you're doing a lot of things, promoting yourself, making a lot of content. And so it's just really cool to get a different perspective of like, hey, you're starting out.
Yeah.
Right? And you got inspired when you were in college,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I went to school for musical theater, and I'd been writing songs since I was like 15. But it was always kind of like, it's interesting because I got into theater because I could sing. Like that was why they kind of heard me singing, the theater director, and then they're like, you should audition for the musical. And I was like, well, okay. And so I started doing musicals, and I loved it. And I think a lot of my sound and what I know about my voice comes from that training. But my real love started, like, I started playing and like singing at like coffee shops when I was like 7 or 8 years old. Like I was like a little baby playing her songs. But then I started kind of like going into this musical theater path, and I was like, I love this. This is because I got to experience what it's like to really perform and like do shows with like a full piece orchestra, and like that stuff's crazy. And so I went down that path, and I knew when I went to school, I was like, I don't really want to go to school to be a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that. So like, how do I convince my parents that I'm still going to go to school, but I'm going to go for something that's more fun.
What was your major then?
I went for musical theater.
Oh, okay.
And then I ended up shifting to vocal performance, and then I shifted again. Cool. I was like the person who was always changing their major.
Yeah, same. I did I changed my major 5 times.
It's
I think fine, man. You're not supposed to know what you're supposed to do when you're 18.
No.
Yeah. They give kids. They won't give a kid a loan to buy a house, but they'll give you loans that's $100,000 to go to college, and they want you to know exactly, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of, I think, I don't know, man, like we went to college together.
Okay.
I think college is kind of interesting the way the system's set up. You know what I mean? You know? So anyway, but eventually.
Yeah. Eventually when I was in school, actually, cause I was in school during the pandemic, and, a lot of my friends who were also in school for acting or other kind of like creative things, you know, the world stopped for everything, but especially like the arts world, like live music, live anything. And so we started kind of going to different, like we had like our little bubble of people that we would see, and we'd go to each other's apartments and stuff. And we would just, at first it started as like karaoke, and we would just like do like a cabaret or you know, someone would play the piano and we would sing songs. And then I was like, well, you know, like I write these songs and like maybe I'll bring them. And so then I started bringing them, and then my friends were like, why aren't you doing this?
Oh, cool.
And that was kind of how I started like actually considering that I could do it. And I had some friends who were in the music scene in Chicago, and so they were like, you know, you could do this. Like, and that was, I think a lot of like what's motivated me has been smaller artists rather than like, I never looked at like a huge like celebrity musician and was like, that's what I want to do. I always like saw like different like smaller indie artists, and I was like
local artists or just smaller artists you find online?
Yeah, artists online or like local, and I was like, okay, if you can do this, I can do this. Totally. We're in this together. Kind of thing.
It is encouraging when you see someone that isn't so different from you.
Yeah.
Creating art that moves people. You're like,
yeah. It's like, it's more grounding, and it's like, okay, we can do this, kind of thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, James, let's fire some questions, man.
So you listed a couple influences in the notes you sent over. You listed a lot of songwriters with a powerful visual flair and somewhat of a theatrical nature. You got Gaga, Bowie, Madonna, etc. And I definitely hear a lot of 80s flair in your music. And your first release that I listened to, Forever Young, feels like it could have been in the Breakfast Club soundtrack.
That's such a compliment. Holy shit. Thank you.
And is this the vibe you're going for? I think it is. And can you speak a little bit about where that debut song came from?
What if I was like, no, it's not the vibe at all?
I thought you were like, no, next question.
No, that's 100% the vibe. I think the thing I love about music, especially now, is that there's so much being brought from like yesterday's music that you can bring back into today's music. And it's not like, oh, if it's from the 70s, it has to have this distinct sound. It's like, or it's from the 80s, it has to have this distinct sound. It's like anything goes now, which is so cool. It's like, I want a drum fill that sounds like it could be in a Phil Collins song, but I also love like, you know, a horn section that sounds like it's, you know, like from like a disco song. And you can put those two together. And I think there's something that your ear does when you listen to something that sounds nostalgic. You know, it's like, I've heard this song before, but I don't know where. And it's like, no, you haven't. It's new. But like that nostalgic feeling is what we love about music. It's like why you continue to play a song over and over again.
Sure. Like unlocks the feeling of a memory.
Yeah, totally.
It's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, what I mean, you play guitar, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you play anything else other than guitar?
I play piano. And I feel like I learned instruments like as a necessity to be able to accompany myself.
Sure.
I was like, either I'm going to have to like find someone else to do this, or I'm gonna have to figure out how to do it. And that was kind of how I learned to play piano. And I like playing piano more than guitar. Guitar, it's like my brain has to be like focused. I mean, you're a great guitar player. Like my brain has to be like, we are playing guitar now. I don't know. Like, but like with piano, I feel like I can sing and accompany myself a little bit easier than like guitar. My brain sometimes like goes to another dimension. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I'm singing too. But yeah, I play guitar and piano.
I mean, when I went to school for music, like college for like a year, but you know, they make you learn the keys, and I just like sucked at it. But it was cool because all the notes are in front of you, and people can really compose. I mean, like, you know, James here's also a producer. I mean, do you play piano? I don't know, I never asked you, man.
I do not. I wouldn't say I'm like a performer, but I love composing on the piano.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Writing on the piano it's also great, I think, to write with instruments that aren't your forte, because it it limits you and makes you be more creative.
Yeah, that's interesting.
For sure. Like every time you pick up a guitar, you know, it's like you always think of E. Because
you get caught in the same
thing.
I'm always playing this key, and then you play the same progression again and again. But they hand you a different instrument like ukulele or guitar or bass, and now you have to think
differently.
Rhythmically or whatever.
Yeah, I used to play the harp.
Oh, whoa!
Yeah,
wow. Like actually played it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane.
It was really cool, and you feel really badass playing it.
Yeah.
You're like living
a huge thing.
Like like I started playing that when I was in middle school because I wanted to like feel like I was on Lord of the Rings, but
that's cool.
I
was like,
awesome.
This is it.
Did you rent one? Did your parents buy one?
No, my parents bought one. It's still. I think it's.
Is it still there?
I don't know.
Wow.
What did they do with it?
Oh my gosh, what would you do with it, right?
I don't know. I'd
stick it in the garage.
Oh my god, I bet it is next to my dad's motorcycle.
That's such a unique instrument. That's awesome.
That's beautiful. That's cool.
It's really cool. It's like
it's got to be insane to string those things. It's got to be like $1 million.
It's a pain in the ass to tune.
Yeah.
Oh.
What if those things just snap and just break your arm? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Well, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's an awesome harp player you should check out. Her name is Michaela Davis. She sits in with Bob Weir a lot, and she is absolutely
cool.
Heavenly. But I would love to hear you play sometime. It's really cool.
Oh, I haven't played it.
Ship it over. Yeah.
I bring one down from the ceiling. I'm like, what? Do you mean this harp?
Oh, don't mind if I do.
I said I haven't seen it in years. I shipped it here.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
So, Ash, you're working on a new album. I'm really stoked to hear it. I hope there is some harp on it.
Now there has to be.
Can you tell us a little bit about your new album? And here's the question for you. Mm-hmm. What message is this album sending out into the world? And if you had to put it into a sentence and put it on a billboard, what would it say?
What a tough question.
You could just tell us about the album. It's okay.
No, I love trying to simplify it into one sentence. The experiences of your youth form you, but they do not define you.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, and I think what's really been wonderful about making this album is that I started writing a lot of these songs. Like Rumors, I started writing like 2018. So long ago. And I used to have this mindset that like if I start a song, I have to finish it. Like a day.
I think we all do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it needs to be done. And then I grew and I like learned. And I think you can totally write a song in a day. There's a couple songs on the album that I wrote like in a day. But you know, a lot of these songs I started writing when I was a lot younger and going through a like completely different phase of life. And now it's almost like I'm on the other side of that. And I'm looking back on my youth and kind of like my coming of age story. And I get to be more, I don't say critical, but more just, you have a different lens on your experiences of your youth when you have already lived them, you've already lived those moments, and then you can look back and you go, oh, I had no idea how to verbalize like what I was feeling in that moment or what I was experiencing. But now that I'm older and I went through it, now I know how to speak to that. And hopefully in knowing how to speak to that, like this song will then like help someone else who hears it, like get through that same experience or that same kind of feeling.
Are you writing about like just love or you know,
love.
I've never been the person to really ever like, you know, make like a concept song where like I'm gonna write about this guy, you know what I mean, like who owns a submarine, or you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like I always just write about something I went through.
Yeah, I think there's I mean a lot of the songs are about things I went through.
Okay.
Particularly like some of the few like key relationships that shaped me. And I think what's cool is like Rumors is not really, it's not a love song at all. It's like all about kind of what, as like a young woman, like what it feels like when you find out that people were talking shit about you, like, and kind of what that can feel like. And I think like what's interesting about that song is like when I started writing it, I think like being young and scorned, it was a lot more vindictive when I started writing it. And then like looking back on it, I was like, man, that really didn't matter, did it?
Yeah.
And so then like approaching it again, like as someone who's lived through it, it was like, oh, you know, you kind of just have to let it.
You learn one thing.
Yeah.
And it just because of, you know, maybe you can comment on it too, man. Like owning other businesses and then being a songwriter, like, you know, when you have like a problem going on, you're like, it's like you think it's the biggest problem in the world, but really if you step back, you're just kind of like, you know, it's not that big of a deal, you know?
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you go through a breakup, some people are just so distraught, you know, it's like, dude, you're going to be fine. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I know what you mean. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. But a lot of them are from experiences, and then most of them are like experiences from the past. And then I kind of picked them apart later, which is really cool. It's really, I think it's a little bit of a healthier way for me to write. I think like for a really long time, I wrote a lot about, like I sat in like the sorrow and the pain and the, you know, the struggle, and then, which like great music can come out of that too. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When's the last time you wrote a song, James?
That is a great question.
Put you in the hot seat.
It's been a minute.
Yeah?
It's been a minute, yeah.
Wow. I mean, come on, like 6 months?
You know what? Actually, a couple weeks ago, I wrote a little a song that I don't plan to share, but like a therapy song.
Oh.
It's called Real Cheap Therapy.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And so I won't sing the whole thing, but it's like
pulls out a guitar.
pulls out a harp.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall. No, the chorus kind of was like essentially it was like, I don't have money for therapy, but I'll be writing songs because that's my real cheap therapy.
That's cool. Nice.
For sure.
Heck yeah.
So that was the last little ditty.
Nice, dude.
How about you, Tyler? You're in the hot seat now.
I did it with Zach, who I connected you with.
Oh, yes.
Zach Stryer.
Zach Stryer. Yeah.
It's the
shout out.
It's the theme song for this podcast.
Oh, cool.
So, but that song took me 4 months because it's a really weird chord progression, which is dope, right? Yeah. But it's there was no chorus, and we wrote the chorus the day of, which was cool. And he's a cool producer too, because there's a lot of people I've worked with, and you know he's a lot of times producers aren't really good with theory. And he'd be like, "What is this?" I'm like, "It's E flat, dude." You know what I mean? And he's like, "Oh, okay, cool." And we wrote it like in a second. So that was cool. Like we got there today. I mean, it's just the first day I met him too. We were doing it all through the internet. So but that's been a minute. But that song drops in a couple of weeks. So
heck yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool, man. It's gonna spend a lot of money. It's going on radio again, all that stuff.
Oh,
so
cool.
It's gonna be fun. But yeah, another question for Ash.
Bunch of songwriters in the room. This one's just off the cuff. When do you write?
When? You know, I'm trying to be a little bit more regimented. Like since I moved to LA, I wake up really early. I wake up at like 4 in the morning.
For work? Or for
yes.
For life.
But so I when I'm not doing music, I teach fitness classes. I won't say where, but
I've seen the drama.
But so I had to be at work at like 6 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And I am just I'm more productive when I'm awake for at least an hour before I have to like speak to people. Mm-hmm. And so I find that if I wake up at 4, that actually gives me time to like do something for myself before I have to like go be present in front of other people. Yeah. And so I started like waking up that early and then just like journaling just like whatever, just whatever. Like free, doesn't matter what you write about. It can be bad. It can not make any sense. For sure. And then a lot of the time, what I would find is like, I would start kind of saying the same things. I'd be like writing just the same things. And I was like, okay, that's the song. That's the concept, you know?
Are you writing the music first or the lyrics first?
Lyrics. And then...
Really? I don't do that. Do you do that? I don't. I always write the music first.
I don't never.
Yeah, I just can't do it.
It's happened both ways.
Both ways? Well, cool. Anyway.
Yeah. I for the most part, I always, even if it's just a small phrase, I'm always like a lyrics first person. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just like one line, like Rumors, the first line I wrote back in 2018 is like the main hook in the chorus now. It's like, I guess all the rumors are true because I can't pick the lies you choose. That was like the original line. And then I was like, that's a song. I don't know what it is, but that's the song. And so usually even if it's just like concept, like when I'm journaling, it's like, oh, you know, like the same thing over and over. Like,
for sure.
Okay, that's the song concept.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then I go from there. And sometimes then the music, it's like, okay, we need...
I always do music, melody, lyrics. That's how I do mine.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people write, like, they'll have to get the chord progression, and they're like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And then I remember the chorus, too. It was like, when the vibe is gone, I'll still be writing songs, because that's real cheap therapy 101. That's
oh, there you go. I remember it now.
Way more catchy now that I remember it.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, so we're going to switch the vibe here. I love that your influence also listed vintage cinema and musicals.
Oh my God, yes.
Like My Fair Lady, one of my personal favorites. Is your music going to be performed in a musical? Or do you just have like a theatrical tinge to it, like Queen's music is like that?
It's like, yeah, definitely theatrically
tinged.
Cool.
I would love to write a musical. Anybody out there who wants to write a musical, hit a girl up. I would love to. Cool. That'd be sick. Have you ever seen Once?
I'm not familiar, actually.
Okay, it's a good show. But it's more like singer-songwriter music, and I'm pretty sure it's actually like
it's like a TV show.
What's called like a jukebox musical, which means they use actual songs. They didn't write the songs for the show. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's
what was that show that everyone loved back in the day?
Or like
Glee or something.
Glee.
That's what they were doing.
Glee is kind of like that. Or like if you remember like Moulin Rouge, the original.
Yep.
They used like a bunch of actual songs and then.
But they just did them different.
Yeah, for the.
You know why they usually do that?
Why?
Because they can't get access to it, so they make a new master.
Oh.
So they still have to. It's a different kind of way to license music sometimes.
Interesting.
It's like Taylor Swift when what's Justin Bieber's manager? I got cease and desist by him once. That was pretty dope.
Maybe you shouldn't name drop.
Oh no, it was I thought it was rock and roll. It was just because we had something listed in a deck. It was awesome. Scooter Braun, there you go.
Oh,
he bought all her music, that one album, and then he was like going to make all this money with it. And Taylor Swift was like, "Check this out," and made it. This is where I was kind of like, "All right, I respect you for this."
Totally.
So she's like, I guess, and who knows what the deal happened, but she just went and re-recorded it.
Yeah.
And then she had a new master. And then all her T Swift fans were like, well, they all heard about the drama.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, fuck the old song. I want to listen to the new version. And also, too, she was a kid when she did it. Now she's an adult.
Yeah.
And so people do that. They'll just re-record something.
Yeah.
If they lost access to the master.
Yeah.
So it's cool. And I love music business stuff. So
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I don't know I should probably learn.
Yeah. Well, you got to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
You'd make a lot of content. This is dope. You're doing the real TikTok thing. Are you on TikTok?
I am on TikTok now.
All right. We were talking about TikTok with Hoogie. I hate it. You know what I mean? Like,
I hate it. Listen. Yeah. I hated it for a really long time too. Mm-hmm. And then your brain becomes theirs.
Yeah, no, they're like,
and then something happens, and then you love it, over, and then you obsess over it. I mean, I think like honestly, like TikTok is if you're not. I don't know how to say
you're making reels. It's TikTok content.
It is.
You're posting on both of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're funny. Where do you get? So let me ask you this then, because everyone always gets those, like you're mouthing it.
Yeah, little sounds.
Are those just like listed somewhere and you're just copying them? That's what people do, right?
You just go. I just go through and scroll,
and you just till you find one.
Yeah, until I find one I like, or one that like I think, oh, that'd be funny if I did this, and this, and
mix it up.
Yeah,
that's funny.
You know what I hate about myself recently?
What
is that? I make jokes about like TikTok sounds. Like someone like we'll be like having a conversation. I'll be like, oh yeah, it's like that TikTok sound. I'm like, oh no. And everyone's like,
I hate that one.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I hate that I do that.
Our brains are melting by the freaking day, dude. But yeah, I tell you, it's what you got to do though. I was watching an interview with I always say his name wrong, Chris DeStefano. What's the comedian? DeStefano. Actually, he was the inspiration for this podcast because I saw him make a podcast about basically nothing, and then his Instagram blew up because he made content every day.
Yeah.
But it was him and Louis C.K. and they're talking about the algorithm and all this stuff and how they're shadow banned, but they're like, you have to, unfortunately, do that stuff.
Yeah.
You know? You have to.
I saw a little part of that, and I appreciated how they were like, I'm going to make content that I dig.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the algorithm is prioritizing.
Totally.
Which I think is true for being an artist, too.
Yeah.
Like, you have to make the music you want,
Yeah.
not the music you think is hot right now.
Yeah.
Totally. It makes you know, people, there's another amazing, I forget his name, Tom Power, he does BBC, and he was interviewing Matt Healy in 1975. And he quotes a big Nashville Americana writer, and I forget his name, but he says, like, you know, the quote is, you know, if you're not authentic, people catch it too. And I totally catch when someone's being not authentic.
I agree. You know? And I think there's a way, like, you know, talking about like the Reels stuff and the TikTok stuff, if you're not authentic and you're not like having a good time, like it's not gonna work. Well,
then people that aren't being authentic, they do like those jokey reels.
Yeah.
Where they're like making fun of them.
Yeah.
And then that person's life is destroyed forever.
Destroyed. Awful.
Because they're going to just see it. You're like, oh,
yeah.
shit.
So there's like a line. You have to figure out like, okay, this is what the algorithm is pushing. How do I show up as my authentic full self and enjoy, you know, making the 6-second video, you know, or
totally.
the whatever.
Yeah, and it's cool too. I mean, you know, I'm just always paying attention to what people do, and you're just posting a lot of them, and that's the thing. Most people go, "Oh, the last one didn't work." You know, you should just post it and put it down and get back to your day.
Yeah, yeah.
Not be like, "Oh, no one liked it."
Yeah, someone says like, "You must be on Instagram all the. It seems like you're on Instagram all the time." I'm like, I open that phone, I go post, and then.
So it's really just doing your job.
Yeah, you just and you have to kind of. Yeah, you have to care about it enough to like put in the work, but then you also have to just like, okay, there it is.
Let me go
and
do
release
something
it.
in sunshine today.
Yeah, I'm gonna go outside. I'm gonna breathe the air.
We live in California, you know.
I know. You know? I know.
So
here's a question for you: are you mentally preparing some content to release to promote your album? Like,
oh my god,
snippets of songs, like this little tag at the end of the verse. That'd be a cool video idea.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have spreadsheets of stuff that I want to do, especially because it's interesting because I'm making a music video for every song.
Oh wow!
Good
How many songs are on the record?
So, there's what we're gonna do is we're gonna do six songs for the first like EP. We're gonna do it as an EP, and then there's gonna be another 6, and then we're gonna re-release it as like a full album. Awesome. So it'll be like every month, 6 weeks.
That's how you should do it.
Yeah, every month to 6 weeks we'll do a song, and then like
waterfall it.
Yeah, and then a week after will be the video. But so it's like you have all that like really like high quality filmed kind of stuff for the video, and I think like music videos are where you get to really have fun as an artist, and you get to kind of this is like the visual representation that I want for the song. But then it's interesting because like. You can post some of that on TikTok and you can post some of it for Instagram and stuff. But then it's also like what kind of content works for like each platform, you know?
I was going to mention that earlier because, you know, like, there are different attention spans for different spaces, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that works on TikTok isn't going to work on Facebook because the people that are on Facebook, it's a different demographic. There's a different type of experience. Like being on Twitter and being on Instagram are two totally different
things.
Like I'm in the mood to consume something thoughtful, or I'm in the mood to
laugh at something.
Consume short form content.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah.
Yeah, and it's like figuring out. Okay, so TikTok is like film you talking down to your phone, like literally the worst quality ever. It does not have to be good. Like, and I think that's actually like a freeing way to approach TikTok. Like it does not have to be good.
You just get there's like old people in there like talking to it.
Yeah.
You know, it's wild.
Like just your eyes, just your forehead.
It's wild.
But like usually that stuff does like significantly better than like I'm gonna, use my
create a thing.
Yeah. You know?
Yeah, we're this is off topic, but just how people like to consume things that they can also create. Like when we're making these big Spotify playlists, it's this whole thing we used to do. We still do it, but we make social ads. We used to make, and then we grow these playlists all across the world. It's really neat. It's a whole label thing. But we would make these really insane HD videos with like Billie Eilish in there, and no one would click it. And if we made like a screen recording video, it would just take off,
Oh, yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to be like, well, people consume what I can relate to.
Yeah, so, exactly. That's, but to answer your question, there is I'm planning a lot of content for, and it's, I was talking to the production team because we're having a meeting tonight for the video, for Rumors. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, but we have to have like a part of the meeting where we talk about TikTok and where we talk about like Instagram videos and stuff too, because it's different. And it can't be, exactly just up from the YouTube full video. It has to be like a little bit different.
For sure.
Yeah.
You seem very thoughtful. I'm excited to hear the record, and like you're doing all the smart things. So I appreciate that, Ash. Miss Machina.
Meanwhile, my brain is just exploding.
It's also such a wonderful time to be an artist because there's you can turn everything into a positive or a negative. I see as a positive that there's so many avenues to like blow up. There's this new artist I just found on Instagram. He's like a 67-year-old man. And he's like making incredible content, and his music is like a vibe. And his whole thing is like, is it too late for me to pop? Like, no, I'm dope. So it's like, it's so cool. And so I think you're doing all the right stuff, Ash.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, like now, it's like you can have your own, what it is a production studio. It could be anything, right?
Oh, yeah, totally.
And so you can just kind of produce, and it's cool, And people will eventually get, unfortunately, when an artist gets so big, they kind of tap out sometimes, like, oh, they're gone, And they're always looking for something new.
Yeah.
So, and you moved to LA. I think,
I
kept, when I moved to LA, I was trying to convince him you moved to San Diego, but that's not far. But, because you got to be where you can be creative,
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think for a while I was like, okay, is it here or New York or Nashville and I'm so glad I moved here.
Yeah. Well, the weather's incredible, number one.
Yeah. It's hard to not.
Nashville gets cold. I used to live in Nashville.
Okay, yeah.
But Nashville's a small town too. Eventually, I was kind of like, I think I outgrew this thing.
Yeah,
LA's like, I think it's like, people are really trying to, hustle at least.
Yeah, and I think there's like pros and cons to it for sure.
For sure. No, sometimes I hate this place.
Oh my god.
You know what I mean?
I love that you love LA.
Why?
Because I've met so many people who are just so jaded by this place.
Totally. No,
and they project it onto the new people.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck this place.
Yeah,
and you're like, Jesus.
And
I just like, you have your suitcase behind you.
Or it's like an Uber driver, like,
yeah. And it's like, I understand. I mean,
I get pissed off too, but I'm just like, dude, you got to make it what you make of it. You know? It's usually someone lives in Hollywood. I used to live in Hollywood. And like, I go to these, I'm not going to name drop the bars, but you go to these bars and they just be like, what? Like, they're just like pissed off. You're just like, Jesus. Like, I remember this one bartender, it was, what was it, man? It was La Poubelle. And it's just like, it's right in front of the Scientology castle.
Oh, yeah.
And so all the Scientologists would come in. You see all these famous actors in there. And so I think that's why people hung out there to try and like rub shoulders with somebody. And this girl I dated at the time, she loved to go there. And so we go there and the bartender's like, yo, what do you do, bro? And I was like, I just moved 2019. So I was just like, I'm here. And I was just like, I'm a songwriter. He's like, yeah, whatever. And I was like, I started,
I feel that.
He's like, I started a liquor brand. He's like, oh, bro, we should work together. And I literally was like, no, I'm good. Like, fuck you. You know what I mean? But because I mentioned something cooler than me being an artist, So I'm just saying LA is just a very finicky town, man. But in my opinion, too, there's not a lot of good rock clubs. Oh, and there's a couple of them on the Southeast. We've done so many shows there. You could tour everywhere, man. You know what I mean? So there's pros and cons. I say if you're here, you should play like maybe once or twice a year. Yeah. Blow it up. If you start playing all the time, you kind of become like that local person that plays too often.
Local artist syndrome.
Yeah, totally. But obviously, we want to play music because it's like the funnest thing in the world.
It is.
Regardless of where you are, I think balance is important to being an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ash, I'm super interested to know who are the people you look up to, and are there any collaborations you'd like to make happen this year, 2023?
Oh my god.
Or just like in the
future.
General future.
Okay, the person I look up to. I mean, I have a really stereotypical answer. It's my mom.
Aww.
Yeah, she watches it crying. No, my mom's like the coolest like lady I know. Like she's a cancer survivor.
Oh, God bless. That's
cool. And she went through chemotherapy when I was like going through school and everything, and I like had no idea how hard it really was on her until I was older. And I was like, wow, I had no idea.
You realize for me, I've done this recently. You realize your parents are people too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. But, my mom's just like, and I think the thing that I just love about my mom and my dad too, sorry, Dad. But like, my parents, even though they, you know, when I was younger, I could tell like, they were like, don't you want to be a doctor or like
Totally.
a lawyer or something? And, but when they started to see how much I loved doing this, like
they gave in. They're like, okay, she's happy.
Yeah. We got to let her do it. And now it's like when I talk to like, you know, I talk to my parents about like, oh, I got to interview for this, you know, other job or something. They're like, well, is it going to get in the way of music?
Oh, that's cool.
Which is just like the best. So I really look up to my parents. My parents, like they got married a little older, and I think they just, yeah, they're really just good. They're just good people. And
cool.
Yeah. But collaborations, you know, there's actually another indie artist that I love. Her name's Chappelle Roan. I don't know if you know her.
No.
I love all of her music. Her music's like very, very pop with like, I don't want to say like a quirky twist, but like she kind of says that she's like thrift store pop. That's kind of how she like describes herself.
Is she in LA?
So a little.
Yeah, she's in LA.
Does she live in Silver Lake? I'm just making a joke. That's like
what does she
hipsters
do?
live.
No, I don't know where she lives, but
I'll find out. That's cool.
hold on. No, but she played the Troubadour. And
oh wow. Okay, so she's doing stuff.
yeah, she's doing stuff. She's amazing, and I think she's very authentic, and I think her style, she does videos and visual, like really, really unique, cool visuals for everything too, and that's very much my vibe, and I would like love to collaborate and make a song, but also like make like a cool short film or like something like wild to go with it.
Totally.
That reminds me of your description of your music, because you were like thrift pop. You're like bringing in vintage elements to like new music.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, totally. I think that's like the way.
Nice. Well, killer.
Yeah.
It's the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
When is the next time you're performing, and where can people come see you, Miss Machina?
To be determined.
On Instagram Reels.
On Instagram Reels tomorrow morning. Hopefully, I'm trying to get a show for April.
Okay.
To promote the single. So
cool.
Yeah, and then the album is dropping March 31st.
So the first single is March 31st.
Excuse me, the first single.
Nice.
Yeah, and it'll be.
And that's the title track, Rumors.
Rumors is the
How you putting it out? Like DistroKid or something?
I think that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. If you ever need any, you know, it's your first thing.
Yeah.
So this is just one thing to keep in mind. You got to create it.
Yeah.
Right? And then after that, that's how you can start pitching it to official stuff.
Yeah.
So you can't pitch it the first time, unfortunately. So,
yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. DistroKid's cool because it's easy. They're just basically delivery boys. I know the founder, he's a really smart dude, what he did, but you know, they're just getting it out there. And a lot of people think, and maybe I probably told you this before, they're owned like 33.5% by Spotify. And people think, oh, if I go on DistroKid, I'll get added to like an official list.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone's concerned about, right? It's like, well, no, they did it to look at data, how indie people are doing it.
Yeah.
And it was like last year or 2 years ago, like there was like, you know, they thought maybe people were doing fake stuff and all these streams, and Spotify, because they saw that information, they deleted like millions of songs in a day and they saved millions of bucks, and it's all over the music industry's a dumpster fire. And it was just like, whether or not you did fake stuff, if they thought you had a spike, you got deleted. And then there was an email, you could put it back up, but then people like to have the ticker where they could show off like, I got 1 million streams.
Oh yeah.
All gone. It was crazy. I was like,
that's
not putting my
wild.
stuff on DistroKid. So,
Well,
yeah. Anyway, I love talking about business stuff, and I knew about that. And I was like, oh, that's crazy.
compliment sandwich here, because there are some
Comments.
Wait.
there are some encouraging trends going on. A couple years ago, Warner,
Compliment sandwich.
15% of their revenue was from like major label artists, and this past year, only 5% of their revenue was from major label artists, which means that the market share is growing for indies.
Totally.
So
There we go.
Just had to pair the, you know what I mean?
Homemade sandwich.
There's hope for us all.
You saw that and you pulled it and you go, hold on, boom. That was
Yes,
great.
sir. So a little bit of a left turn here. I see you're very active on Twitch and you're big into gaming.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How is this influencing your music? Is your audience going to be primarily gamers? And are you putting 8-bit sounds into your record?
Ooh, nice.
I'm sorry. Is your audience predominantly gamers? God, I hope so.
Theater nerds and gamers?
Yeah.
Let's
Don't
go.
get us
dude.
in the same place.
Just blowing up.
Oh my God.
Hey, Twitch is cool though.
I love. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like crying.
Oh, that's funny.
Take your time, dude. I'm sorry.
Take your time.
We do this to all our guests.
We'll have some comment sandwiches for you after
Our
this.
last guest burst into tears as well.
Yeah.
I hope my audience is made up of gamers. No, I think I love video games. I think there are a lot of like gaming sounds sprinkled in. More so in like there's one song I don't think I sent it to y'all, but it's called Stranger Than Fiction. And there's like a sound through it which kind of sounds like the Millennium, like you're firing something off of the Millennium Falcon, which I guess
Sick.
isn't gaming, but like
No, but it's related.
yeah, but yeah, it definitely, I don't want to say it inspires me, but it does influence a lot of like the way like my brain thinks of visuals.
Cool.
For sure. And I'm actually working on, I want my website to be like a mini game. Like when you go to my website, it's more like a video,
cool.
like a little video game that you have to play.
Cool.
Yeah.
You got to defeat the boss before you
You
play
have
in.
to
Like, I want to get to her fucking website.
I just can't beat them
Like your
on.
grandparents are like, we want to look at it. We can't beat it.
My parents can't beat the dragon to get into my website.
That's pretty dope. I did a music video that was like 8-bit.
Oh yeah, I think that's so cool.
Yeah, the one that Eric Bass did, Getting High. And then it was inspired by a band that I love out of San Diego called Sean.
Okay.
They did that. Yeah,
Cool.
it was cool. Yeah, it was neat.
Yeah. I think and I think also it's just in terms of like I love doing, I haven't been live in like a while, but I want to start incorporating it because I think that's another way, like going back to what we were talking about like approaching a platform and bringing your authentic self. Like you don't have to be just a gamer to like be on Twitch. Like you can just like, I like to play video games, but I'm a singer songwriter and like that colors your, you know, your audience's like connection with you.
No, there's a platform for everything. When we did Burn Beyond, and you just left, I think, because I did the interview by myself. Danywhere Presents is like a huge talent buyer. They're like Live Nation, but they're independent. Anyway, Matt Penfield, who is the man, I want to get him on this podcast. He's a big rock guy. Where we hung out with him, I was so drunk in that picture too. I was like,
I don't remember that picture.
and he's like, you know, the coolest guy. And he's like, you should come do my Twitch tomorrow. And Danywhere has their own Twitch channel. It's like thousands of people.
Oh, that's
who just
so cool.
sit there.
Yeah.
And it's just nuts.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it. They don't like. I mean, obviously he's got his own podcast, he's got a radio station, but he has his Twitch channel, and people just go on there every day and just listen to DJs go on there. They have like their live streams.
Oh yeah, it's yeah. What I'm trying to do is make it more like a show because I started it just like to, you know, play video games and go live and kind of connect with people. But then I was like, oh, this could be really cool to do like almost like segments, and you can make it more like a show or like, you know, something that.
Well, people like to feel like they got a personal. It's like a Patreon, you know. People
Kind of,
like to feel like they can like, oh, this I get to only do this with my favorite artist. So that's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I can see you like in the way that video games create this little universe that you step into. And I visited your website. It actually looks great. I can see you with this new album, like creating a little universe that your fans can step into.
Yeah.
That's like the Miss Machina.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny. Like, so we're in production for the first music video, and we actually kind of did storyboarding for all of the music videos because we want to kind of create like a little multiverse and have like little Easter eggs.
So it is a concept album, all right?
It is. It is a little bit, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So like we were joking. It's like, oh, it's like the Machina multiverse, and
That's cool. Good for you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, we got a couple more questions. We got some time. What else you got?
What's the biggest lesson you've had so far moving to LA, being a songwriter, studying music in school? Is there any
question.
advice you can share to someone who's just starting out?
save up your money. Seriously. I say that jokingly, but also that's like a big lesson I learned was that I think when you're young and naive, you think, I'll just make it happen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you got like rent's due, car payments due. Oh, I got to pay my producer. Oh, I got to pay this. And I think the other thing is like that I learned that like if you want good work, you got to, you know, learn to pay people what they're worth, you know?
That was one of the first lessons I ever learned when I was 18. I had a manager, rest his soul, he passed away. He used to work at Bass. And he told me, he's like, pay people, you know?
Yeah.
Because some people don't. Or like, hey, man, can I just like, you know, let me just do something else for you. It's going to piss them off, you know? You got to do that.
You'll see a huge shift in the way that people show up for you.
Totally.
Because there's a respect there.
Yeah.
You know, and I know it's hard, like being independent, like, you know, like waking up at 6 a.m. to go teach some people some fitness, and then boop, that goes to pay the guitar player or whatever. But
I mean, dude, when I lived in Nashville, I had 6 part-time jobs. Parents would call, hey, how's everything going? I'm like, it's fine. Like it was a really crazy time, but I consider that, I was after I graduated college, like my graduate. Like I didn't go to school for a graduate degree. That was like I was still poor. Yeah. I was like still trying to figure it out.
Oh yeah, it's like
nothing will motivate you more than being like in a corner. You know what I mean? Like I got to get out of this. You know?
Yeah.
And you don't want to. You just get things saying saving up. You don't want to hate what you're doing. Like you don't want to start hating music because like your finances are all screwed up. Yeah. You know, so you got to be smart about it.
Yeah, and you know, I especially if you're coming at from an independent perspective, like save up your money and figure out what you want, and like, you know, there's always going to be something like, oh, God, I didn't think about that thing I have to pay for the record and blah, 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 blah. But, you know, like budget, a concept. But
for sure.
Still learning. But I think that's an important lesson. But then I've also learned that, like, when you're an artist, sometimes either your family or your friends who aren't artists, sometimes they're just not going to get it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And you kind of have to learn to, I don't want to say like take a step back from it, but you kind of have to learn like, okay, this issue that I'm going through with like the mix sounding a certain way, they're not going to
understand you complain about it.
Yeah. Like I talked to my mom for maybe an hour about how like a mix was sounding, and she was like, well, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, drink water.
Yeah. Well, are you hydrated?
Yeah. It's like there's these memes every Thanksgiving that everyone posts where it's like, explain what you do to your family. Like, I'm a musician. Like, oh, you know.
Yeah, so do you work for Spotify?
Yeah. Yeah. That's cute. I have Apple Music.
Yeah.
All right, Grandma. Yeah.
All right, so I think we got respect and value people's time and energy because it comes back. Budget. And what was the last one?
Don't burden your family with your musician problems.
Don't worry about people not understanding your path.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, Miss Machina, where can people follow up with you online?
You can follow me on Instagram at Miss Machina.
Spell it.
MISSMACHINA.
Looks like Miss Machina.
Looks like Miss Machina.
Yeah.
And then underscore.
Cool. And that's on everything. That's my user. Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. Looking forward to the new album, Rumors, the single drop on March 31st. Looking forward to the next show announcement.
Anything you want to plug?
The video will be out April 7th for Rumors, and that'll be on my YouTube, which is the same user.
Cool. Well, I mean, we're stoked to have you. This will be good content for you, you know.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Woo!